There's no longer the wait for a leader to make the call and say, hey, what's your location? Are you in position yet? Because the leader now, the platoon sergeant, or the company commander, myself, or the battalion commander, can pull down his helmet-mounted display, look into it, and see that everybody is moving into position, in position, and ready to execute. So all that time that has elapsed in the past of FM communications is really reduced.
But we drive right up to the target. We knew where we were going, and the guys were getting off the trucks and running to these targets, which is the way it has to be. It has to be quick and down and dirty. And we snatched a lot of really important people. I think in a month, between July and August, we caught 58% of the entire brigade's targets. And that was just one company of guys. Because we were able to use these icons, we were able to use the Land Warrior. It was doing its job, and it did. It made us much faster, and flash to bang time was significantly reduced.
I'm a mortar guy, so having something that's on my body that I don't have to pull out a map, a compass, God forbid a plotting board, you know, and try to work math to get my mortar rounds downrange. I've got a measurement tool on my heads-up display that gives me distance in meters and an azimuth right to where I want to fire. So if I had to, I could hastily lay my gun and fire within 30 to 40 seconds.
You know, when I think of Land Warrior, the stuff that helped us out was the navigation system was the most important thing. Because it was my job to navigate and get to the right house. To hit the first house, oh, that's not the right house. Hit the next one, oh, that ain't the right one either. Or walking down the street with a piece of paper, and you know, at nighttime, that has the map that you're supposed to be working at, and looking at the houses, and it could be a year old or 6 months old, and then looking at the houses and kind of, yeah, it kind of looks like it, let's go. I had a lot more confidence in where I was going. So
it allowed us to travel at night, blacked out, to the target, to that house, front door, and then go to where we needed to go, you know, to avoid stumbling around in the dark.
We actually got off a helicopter one time, and a squad was probably about 500 meters away from the actual objective area of the house. But the house was surrounded by about 75 different houses with a maze to go through. And the squad leader plotted on the map. We had the exact grid. We knew where we needed to go. He just ran, and literally full speed, that squad ran through the maze in like 30 seconds. They were at the house and took it down before anybody could react. And when he did, he took down the target, he captured the individual, he ran out the opposite direction, called the helicopters as he was coming in, got picked up, and flew away. We went back the next day to see what the reaction was of the people, and they said, you know, we heard something, but you know, the only thing we knew is that the terrorist leader that was in our area is gone.
Within a few months of being in combat operations, you know, soldiers, even those who had been skeptics, were saying, this stuff really works. It's really powerful.
I don't know, it was like in the span of like 2 or 3 months, it just went from, you know, zero to hero kind of type thing. And we used it every day, and I went from being one of its biggest naysayers to being one of its biggest supporters.
I've got to tell you now that I can't see fighting without it. It is a phenomenal system.
A lot of times it was the platoon leader or that squad leader putting an enemy icon on that Land Warrior system. And as soon as he does that, within 3 seconds, everybody has that. They all know where it is. So now, where's he shooting from? I don't know. Where's he shooting? Can you see? Can you see? And this is all the radio traffic that we had when we were in Afghanistan. You didn't have that. Boom, there he is. All right, first squad, bound left. Third squad, you know, base of fire. You know, second squad, stand by. And then you saw those guys, boom, boom, boom. You know, 30 seconds to a minute.
You're still going to talk on the radio. You just have to. You know, there's no substitute for the human voice when it comes to portraying urgency, calmness, or, you know, any of those gamut of human emotions that might come over the radio, because you'll hear it and you'll know. However, there is a substitute for a lot of the, this is where I need you to go kind of thing. Mark it on the map. As close to as approximately, you know, you've got the data, you mark it on the map. Do you see that yellow chem light? Roger, sir. Assault that building. That's where the target is. I got it.
So a team leader is the leader of the smallest maneuver element. So when that team maneuvered and you saw that blue icon on your heads-up display, you knew there was guys in relative proximity of that. of that blue icon. So when you orientated your weapons that way, you knew where he was and it was safe to fire. So we didn't have a single fratricide event the entire time we were in Iraq.
The friction of two units coming together under fire is extremely dangerous. And with Land Warrior, I'm not saying this happens every time, but it allows the unit that's out of contact to see the enemy, his approximate location, the exact location of the friendly forces that are engaging him, and he can maneuver out of contact, meaning he's not under direct fire. And then when he does come under direct fire, he does have a bearing on the target. And that allows those two units to maintain that separation, you know, so that the friction of combat doesn't result in either fratricide or confusion or slowing down the assault, the most important thing. And we get a better understanding of the enemy picture.
If you're under strength, Land Warrior compensates by allowing less people to cover more ground.
We would show up at an organization that didn't have a system. The reaction was always the same. My God, why can't I have one of those?
The things that it's given us, the tools, the confidence, it's irreplaceable. It would be a big step back, and I think that, you know, it's a snowball and it's rolling to the point now. The 5th Stryker Brigade Combat Team from Fort Lewis the entire brigade is being fielded the system. The next generation of Land Warrior looks really cool. I think that the technology is increasing and the system is getting lighter, which is really important to the guys who are wearing it.
I take a lot of pride in telling them that the next system that goes to the 5-tube for a brigade was not designed by our office, it was designed by the soldiers of the 4-9. It didn't come from us, so the smaller, lighter, all-in-one box configuration came from them.
You see all this stuff now about future combat systems and, you know, tactical internet, and they're doing it all with vehicles. Okay, well, the vehicles are great, and you see all these whiz-bang things. It's the guys on the ground that are going to get the job done. And if you give the guys on the ground the tools to be faster and, you know, more accurate and more lethal, okay, that's where we need to go. And I think that enough people have gotten the point now and have seen it that they won't go back.
It brings a lot more than just a system with maps, graphics, communication platforms. It starts to meld a new mindset into that unit, and that's almost as valuable as the hardware package it provides itself.
I think we as a military and as an army, in the way we fight this war, have determined that digital situational awareness and position, location, and reporting is essential to what we do.
The power that comes from the sharing information enabled by networks. That always ended for soldiers as soon as you dismounted off of vehicles, up until Land Warrior. Now with Land Warrior, you can extend that capability to dismounted operations. And honestly, dismounted operations, particularly in Iraq and the counterinsurgency operations that we're working on now, is where we do it. That's where we make our money.
It's not about guns, you know, and bullets and, you know, bombs and frags and whatever. Where we beat the enemy is in communications. You know, communications is more important than any rifle. If you can't talk, you can't get the rifle to bear on the enemy. You can stumble around in the dark until you just happen to meet a bad guy. But without good communications, situational awareness, you can't effectively, timely eliminate him. Now, not in a week, not after he's done 2 more IEDs. The infantry, in my opinion, will undergo a revolution with this. It's got to be this way. We have to do this. Every man knows the mission. Every man knows where he's at. Every man knows where he's going. He's got a display of every target that's inside of it. He can communicate, you know, and the higher can see him. That's where linking the guys together, you know, is exponentially greater than the number that's on the ground.
They can prosecute the fight much more rapidly, much more precisely, and just make better decisions that upon which the lives of their soldiers hang and upon which the success of the mission depends.